my precious one. Something irreversible is happening in the spirit realm right now. This is not a coincidence. This is not just another message scrolling across your screen. This is a divine interruption. God is shifting the bloodline curse off your shoulders. Jesus has replaced it with a royal inheritance. The bank executive who dismissed you will soon be calling you. Open this prophetic message now to activate the transfer before 1200 a.m. Read that again in your spirit. There hath been a weight you have carried that did not start with you. Patterns of rejection. Cycles of life. Doors that closed right when breakthrough was near. Opportunities that slipped through your fingers even when you were qualified. You felt like you were fighting something invisible, something older than you. But today, heaven is announcing a shift. Archangel Michael stands as a warrior over generational lines. He does not fight random battles. He fights ancient contracts. He confronts inherited burdens. And I need you to understand something. What was placed on your bloodline illegally is now being removed legally through the finished work of Jesus. You were not crazy. You were not unlucky. You were targeted by a cycle. In your family, there were silent struggles, financial instability, broken trust, missed chances, hard work with little reward. And every time you tried to rise higher, something would push you back down to survival mode. It felt like you were climbing a mountain with chains on your ankles. But hear this clearly. Those chains have just been unlocked. The curse was not just about money. It was about identity. It whispered, "You are not enough." It said, "People like you don't rise." It repeated, "Stay small. Stay quiet. Don't expect more." And then came that moment. The bank executive looked at you with doubt, spoke to you with dismissal, treated your vision like it was naive. You walked out pretending to be strong, but inside something cracked. It felt like confirmation of every generational lie. But what you did not see was this. Heaven recorded that meeting. The dismissal was not a denial. It was a setup. Archangel Michael has been assigned to guard the transfer that is happening over your name. Because what the enemy labeled as risk, God labeled as royalty. Yes, royalty. Jesus did not only remove sin. He restored inheritance. You were not redeemed to survive. You were redeemed to reign. And tonight, before 1200 a.m., a spiritual transaction is being processed. There is a transfer taking place. The curse is being shifted off your shoulders. You may not feel fireworks. You may not see lightning. But something has moved. The heaviness that has followed your family line is being lifted from you. You are the interruption in your bloodline. The first to think differently. The first to believe bigger. The first to refuse limitation. And because you dared to believe beyond what you saw growing up, heaven marked you as the breaker of cycles. That executive who dismissed you. They judged you by your past paperwork. But God is rewriting your future records. There is a phone call that will not carry rejection. It will carry reversal. You see, when God shifts a curse, He does not leave emptiness. He replaces it with inheritance. And inheritance is not earned. It is received. This is why the timing matters. Before 1200 a.m., you must come into agreement with this transfer. Not with fear, not with desperation, but with faith. Say in your heart, "I refuse every inherited limitation. I receive my royal inheritance through Jesus." Because agreement activates alignment. Archangel Michael does not fight where there is doubt. He fights where there is declaration. And your declaration tonight seals what heaven has already authorized. Something else is happening that you do not yet understand. The same executive who dismissed you is going to remember you. Not randomly, not by accident, but by divine stirring. There will be a shift in their perspective. The numbers they once used to reject you will now justify you. Favor is about to interrupt logic. But this is deeper than a bank call. This is about identity restoration. You have been carrying the emotional debt of your ancestors, trying to succeed for everyone, trying to prove something, trying to escape something. But Jesus did not call you to escape. He called you to inherit. And inheritance requires posture. Lift your head. Straighten your back. Stop apologizing for wanting more. The curse was designed to make you feel guilty for rising. But royalty does not apologize for wearing the crown assigned to them. Tonight, the crown is being placed back on your bloodline, starting with you. There are angels on assignment over your documents, over your name, over your reputation, over your next phone call. You thought the story ended with rejection, but heaven says it begins with replacement. The curse has been replaced with a royal inheritance. And when that phone rings, you will remember this moment. You will remember that before 12:00 a.m., something shifted. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because God decided your bloodline would no longer bleed in silence. This is the night the burden breaks. This is the night identity is restored. And this is only the beginning. Chosen vessel, what you are feeling right now is not imagination. It is pressure leaving your atmosphere. When a bloodline curse begins to loosen its grip, there is a strange silence before the breakthrough sound arrives. That silence is sacred. Do not mistake it for delay. It is divine restructuring. The shift that began is now moving into your circumstances. Because when God removes something spiritual, the physical must eventually reflect it. The weight that followed your surname for generations is being lifted, and in its place, authority is settling on your shoulders. You may notice small changes first. Conversations will feel different. Opportunities will not feel forced. Even your thoughts will start expanding beyond survival. That is because inheritance changes mindset before it changes bank accounts. For years, you operated under inherited limitation. You made safe choices. You prepared for disappointment. You expected dullness. But heaven is rewriting your expectation system. Royal inheritance requires a new mental language. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your external breakthrough, he is protecting your internal transformation. Because if your mind remains in bondage, you will sabotage what God is sending. And that will not happen this time. The executive who dismissed you thought they had closed a file. But spiritually, they triggered a review. There are whispers happening behind doors you cannot see. A sudden reconsideration, a subtle conviction, an unusual remembrance of your proposal. When God decides to elevate someone, he can disturb the comfort of those who underestimated them. The same person who once looked through you will soon look for you. But listen carefully. This coming call is not about revenge. It is about revelation. God is going to show you that rejection was never your identity. It was a redirection to a higher table. Do not let pride poison what grace is building. When the call comes, answer with calm confidence. Speak with clarity. You are not begging anymore. You are negotiating from inheritance. There is another layer to this transfer. The curse in your bloodline was not just financial instability. It was invisibility. Talents unnoticed. ideas unrecognized, effort unrewarded. But royal inheritance makes you visible in rooms you once felt small in. Before 12:00 a.m., something sealed in the spirit. But over the next hours and days, you will see evidence. Watch for unusual favor. Watch for sudden clarity. Watch for doors that feel almost too easy to open. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation. And now let me speak directly to your hesitation. Part of you is afraid to believe this fully, because you have been disappointed before. You prayed before. You hoped before. And when nothing shifted, you learned to protect your heart. But this time is different. The difference is not in your effort. It is in your authority. Jesus replaced the curse. That means the old legal claim has been canceled. And when heaven cancels something, it does not negotiate with it again. Archangel Michael stands over your generational line like a warrior at the gate. Nothing that belonged to the curse can reattach itself without permission. And you are no longer granting permission through fear. This is the moment where you align your voice with heaven. Say within yourself, I accept my royal inheritance. I refuse inherited limitation. I am the turning point. As you declare that, something stabilizes around you. And let me tell you something important. If this message is stirring something deep in you, do not keep it to yourself. Share this word with someone in your life who hath been battling generational patterns. Like this message so it reaches more people who feel stuck under invisible weight. Comment your declaration boldly. Subscribe to this channel and become part of this movement where we expose curses and activate inheritance. When you engage, you are not just supporting a video, you are amplifying a spiritual awakening. Because there are others scrolling right now who feel unseen, just like you once did. And this word could be the confirmation they have been praying for. Something powerful is unfolding, and you are not here by accident. The next revelation will explain why the timing of that executive's call is connected to a larger shift in your destiny. What you are about to understand will change how you interpret every past rejection. Hold steady. What is being revealed next will make everything make sense. Faithful one, there is a reason the rejection had to be public. There is a reason the dismissal felt sharp and unforgettable. It was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to mark the exact moment heaven would later reverse the narrative in front of witnesses. When a bloodline curse is broken, the evidence cannot remain private. It must become visible so that generations after you will know where the shift began. You thought that meeting with the bank executive was an ending. But in the spirit, it was a courtroom. Words were spoken over you. Assumptions were made. Limitations were declared. And while you walked away feeling diminished, something powerful happened behind the veil. Jesus stood as your advocate. The curse that once whispered, "This family never rises," was presented. The history of lack, the records of instability, the patterns of delay, all of it when brought forward. But then came the interruption, the blood of Jesus speaking a better word over your name. The accusation lost its legal standing. Do you understand what that means? It means what once followed your bloodline as a pattern can no longer claim you as its carrier. You were the one chosen to end it. Not because you were the strongest, not because you were the most qualified, but because you were willing to believe when belief felt foolish. Archangel Michael has been assigned to enforce what heaven has already ruled. He is not fighting for a possibility. He is guarding a verdict. And that verdict declares that your lineage will no longer bow to inherited limitation. This is why the shift feels intense. Breaking generational cycles is not light work. It shakes foundations. It unsettles old agreements. It exposes hidden roots. But hear this clearly. Exposure is not destruction. Exposure is freedom beginning to breathe. The executive who dismissed you represents more than a person. They represent a system that underestimated you. And systems do not like to admit they were wrong. Yet, there is a stirring coming. A reconsideration that will not let them rest until they reach out. When that call happens, it will not just be about finances. It will symbolize restoration. It will testify that what was spoken over your family line no longer holds authority over you. You are stepping into royal inheritance. Royalty does not chase approval. Royalty carries identity. The curse trained your bloodline to over-explain, to shrink, to settle. But inheritance trains you to stand, to receive, to expect. This is the difference between surviving and reigning. Tonight, something spiritual finalized. Before 12:00 a.m., heaven processed a transfer. The burden that sat on your shoulders, the invisible expectation to struggle, has been lifted. In its place is responsibility for expansion. Expansion requires courage. You cannot think like the old version of yourself anymore. The one who prepared for rejection. The one who braced for disappointment. That mindset belonged to the curse, and the curse has been removed. Now you must think like someone whose father owns everything. There will be subtle confirmations. A sudden peace where anxiety used to live. A boldness rising in conversations. An unusual confidence in your planning. These are not personality changes. They are inheritance manifestations. Archangel Michael stands as a witness over this shift. He guards the gates of your future from the echoes of your past. No generational voice will override what God has declared. And I need you to do something prophetic right now. Type in the comments, "I receive my royal inheritance." Do it as an act of agreement. Do it as a declaration that the curse ends here. Blessing code 4411 has just been released over those who align with this word. As you type, see it in your spirit. The weight falling, the crown settling, the phone ringing, the tone shifting in that executive's voice from dismissal to respect. This is not fantasy. This is divine reversal. You were never meant to carry what your ancestors carried. You were meant to conclude it. And as this message travels beyond you, there are others trapped under similar patterns. If this word has stirred your spirit, understand that supporting this mission is not about a platform. It is about freeing bloodlines. When you give through Super Thanks, join membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are placing seed into soil that breaks chains off families. The Lord says, as you sow beside all waters, your harvest will not fail. This is your moment to act. I am inviting you to become a carrier of this light. Do not hesitate. Release your seed and let heaven multiply it for the salvation of others. The shift has begun, and what comes next will confirm everything. Anointed air, now that the verdict has been established in the spirit, the manifestation must begin to unfold in the natural. There is always a gap between spiritual authorization and physical confirmation. That gap is not denial. It is development. This is the hour where your posture matters more than your panic. For years, your bloodline lived in reaction mode. When bills came, stress reacted. When opportunities appeared, fear reacted. When rejection surfaced, insecurity reacted. But royal inheritance does not react. It responds with authority. You are being trained in real time. The reason the executive dismissed you earlier was because you still carried traces of inherited hesitation. You were qualifying, yes. Prepared, yes. But somewhere deep inside, there was still a question mark about whether you truly belonged at the table. Heaven heard that question mark. And instead of shaming you for it, I decided to remove the root that planted it. The curse was subtle. It did not always scream. Sometimes it whispered through self-doubt. Sometimes it disguised itself as humility. Sometimes it convinced you to lower your expectations so disappointment would hurt less. But that version of you is dissolving. You may have noticed a quiet boldness rising since you heard this message. A calm certainty replacing restless anxiety. That is not hype. That is inheritance settling into your identity. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your finances, he is guarding your confidence. Because what is coming requires you to stand steady when the tone shifts. Let me explain something deeper. When the bank executive calls, the conversation will feel different. The same mouth that once questioned you will now inquire about your availability. The same office that once felt intimidating will suddenly feel accessible. But the real miracle will not be the call. The real miracle will be your composure. You will not tremble the way you once did. You will not over-explain. You will not shrink. Because internally, the transfer has already convinced you that you belong. That is how you know the curse has lifted. When your nervous system no longer bows to rooms that used to intimidate you. There is another layer unfolding. The shift is not only about one executive or one approval. It is about setting a new standard for your family line. Decisions you make now will echo forward. The way you negotiate, the way you invest, the way you believe, it will teach the next generation what is normal. You are rewriting normal. In your lineage, scarcity was normal. Struggle was normal. Being overlooked was normal. But now, favor will become normal. Expansion will become normal. Strategic wisdom will become normal. This is how inheritance transforms bloodlines. Do not underestimate the days ahead. Pay attention to small signs. Emails answered faster than usual. Unexpected introductions. Information flowing toward you without strain. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the spiritual verdict is shaping physical outcomes. However, there will also be a test. Old thoughts may attempt to resurface. What if this falls apart again? What if they change their mind? What if I am not ready? Those thoughts are echoes of a cancelled contract. They have no authority unless you agree with them. When they appear, do not wrestle. Simply remind yourself, the curse has been removed. I operate from inheritance. Archangel Michael stands like a sentinel over your declaration. Every time you affirm your inheritance, you strengthen the boundary against the past. There is something prophetic about timing in this season. Before 12:00 a.m., the transfer was sealed. Now, every hour after that is alignment catching up to authorization. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are watching something unfold. And I must prepare you for this. When the executive calls, it may come unexpectedly. Not at the time you predict. Not in the tone you imagine. But it will carry a shift. There will be respect in their voice. There will be reconsideration in their words. And when you hang up that phone, you will feel it. Not just relief. Validation. Not just approval. Restoration. Because what God restores is not partial, is complete. The dismissal was loud. The reversal will be undeniable. Do not rush this process. Let it mature. Let it reveal itself step by step. Royal inheritance is not a lottery win. It is a lifestyle shift. The burden is gone. Now the building begins. What is about to unfold next will expose why you specifically were chosen to break this bloodline curse, and why others in your family could not carry this assignment. Warrior of a new lineage, you were not randomly selected to carry this shift. You were prepared through pressures others in your family could not survive. What felt like oscillation was actually insulation. What felt like delay was actually design. There is a reason the assignment fell on you. In every bloodline, there is one who questions the pattern, one who refuses to accept this is just how we are, one who dreams beyond the ceiling that limited everyone else. That person is often misunderstood, sometimes labeled rebellious, sometimes called unrealistic, but in heaven's language, that person is called a breaker. You are the breaker. Others in your family may have noticed the curse, but they normalized it. They adjusted their expectations to survive within it. You, however, felt a holy dissatisfaction. Even when you tried to settle, something inside you resisted. That resistance was not arrogance. It was divine disruption. Archangel Michael has stood over your life longer than you realize. There were moments you almost gave up completely. Moments when exhaustion whispered that it would be easier to stop trying. But every time you reached that edge, something pulled you back. A strange hope. An unexpected opportunity. A word that reignited belief. That was protection. Because if you had surrendered, the cycle would have continued unchallenged. Breaking a bloodline curse requires endurance. It requires someone willing to look foolish for believing bigger. It requires someone who can endure being the first without the comfort of seeing proof. You carried criticism. You carried comparison. You carried the pressure of being different. But what they call different, heaven called designated. The executive's dismissal was a mirror of what your bloodline has experienced for generations, being underestimated. But this time, the story does not end the same way. This time, the underestimated one becomes the undeniable one. You must understand something critical. The shift is not only external, it is structural within you. Your tolerance for mediocrity is decreasing. Your discernment is sharpening. Your standards are rising. That is inheritance awakening. When Jesus replaced the curse with royal inheritance, he did not only cancel debt, he restored authority. Authority changes how you walk into rooms. It changes how you speak about your vision. It changes how you handle silence. You are no longer intimidated by pauses. In the past, when someone delayed responding, anxiety would consume you. Now, here is steadiness, because you are beginning to understand that what belongs to you cannot be stolen by silence. There is also a generational ripple forming. Family members may start noticing your shift. They may not have language for it. Some will be inspired. Some may feel uncomfortable. Growth often challenges the comfort of those who stay the same. Do not shrink to ease their discomfort. You are not abandoning your family by rising. You are expanding what is possible for them. The upcoming phone call from the executive will symbolize more than personal success. It will demonstrate that ceilings can crack. It will show that what seemed locked for generations can open. And when it happens, remember humility. Not shrinking humility. Confident humility. The kind that knows the breakthrough is grace, not ego. Archangel Michael continues to stand guard because elevation attracts attention. Not all attention is aligned. But do not fear. The same authority that removed the curse now shields your expansion. This season requires discipline. Royal inheritance must be stewarded wisely. Prepare yourself mentally. Refine your plans. Organize your documents. Update your strategy. Act like someone expecting confirmation, because expectation creates readiness. There is a subtle but powerful shift in your atmosphere right now. Conversations are aligning. Decisions are being influenced. Hearts are being softened in places you cannot see. The executive who once dismissed you is facing their own internal evaluation. Circumstances around them are shifting. Metrics are being reviewed. And suddenly, your proposal looks different under new light. Heaven knows how to reposition you without forcing you. But let this settle in your spirit. The call is not the destination. It is the doorway. The true inheritance is larger than one approval. It is a new normal for your bloodline. It is children growing up without inherited fear. It is conversations around your table that sound different from the ones you heard growing up. You were chosen because you could carry the weight of transformation without collapsing. And now, the transformation is no longer invisible. The next revelation will uncover the final barrier that must dissolve completely before the physical confirmation arrives. It is subtle, but once exposed, nothing will be able to delay what is already set in motion. Steadfast soul, there is one final barrier that must dissolve completely before the manifestation becomes undeniable. It is not a person. It is not a system. It is not even the executive who once dismissed you. The last barrier is internal permission. For years, you subconsciously carried loyalty to struggle. It sounds strange, but generational patterns create emotional agreements. When your family endured hardship together, struggle became familiar. It became bonding. It became identity. And without realizing it, part of you felt that rising too high might separate you from where you came from. That silent loyalty has been the final chain. Breaking a bloodline curse requires more than spiritual authority. It requires emotional release. You must give yourself permission to succeed beyond the limits of your past without guilt. Royal inheritance does not dishonor your ancestors. It fulfills what they prayed for but could not reach. There is a difference between remembering your roots and remaining trapped in them. You can honor the journey without repeating the pattern. And right now, heaven is asking you to release emotional allegiance to limitation. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over this transition. He does not only fight visible battles, he enforces invisible boundaries. The moment you internally permit yourself to rise without apology, something irreversible locks into place. You may feel a strange mixture of excitement and discomfort. But tension is growth. It is the old identity loosening its grip. Think about how you have introduced yourself in the past. Think about the tone you used when describing your goals. There was always a hint of hesitation, as if you were preparing the listener to doubt you. The tone is changing. You will speak your vision without shrinking it to make others comfortable. This is the final alignment before confirmation. The executive's call is connected to timing, yes, but it is also connected to your readiness. Heaven will not hand you authority you secretly feel unworthy to carry. That is why this internal barrier must fall completely. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the call happening. Hear the shift in their voice. Feel the calm in yours. See yourself responding without desperation. If that image feels natural rather than intimidating, you are aligned. There is also something else you must prepare for. When the reversal becomes visible, some people will reinterpret your story. They may say you were lucky. They may claim you had connections. They may downplay the years of preparation that led to that moment. Do not defend your destiny. Let results speak. Royal inheritance does not argue for validation. It demonstrates transformation. This is also the hour to strengthen your community. If this message has been confirming what you have felt deep inside, do not walk this alone. Like this message so it reaches others who are breaking cycles. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their struggle is not permanent. Comment your declaration boldly so your words create agreement in the atmosphere. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a growing family that believes in spiritual authority and practical breakthrough. When you engage, you are helping push this word into homes where silence has lasted too long. And as you continue watching, keep your heart open. What is unfolding next will reveal how timing, obedience, and divine strategy are converging in ways you did not expect. There's a layer of precision in this shift that will surprise you. You are no longer fighting to prove yourself. You are positioning yourself to steward what has already been approved. The curse trained your bloodline to anticipate loss. Inheritance trains you to anticipate increase. You will begin noticing how differently you handle challenges. Instead of spiraling, you strategize. Instead of assuming rejection, you expect reconsideration. Instead of shrinking, you stand. That is the evidence that the internal barrier is dissolving. Archangel Michael's presence over your journey is not dramatic. It is deliberate. Every unseen resistance has been confronted. Every lingering claim has been revoked. Now, only alignment remains. The call from the executive will not catch heaven by surprise. It has already been accounted for in the timeline of your transformation. Something is converging behind the scenes. Data is shifting. Opinions are softening. Circumstances are aligning. And what you are about to understand next will show you why the exact timing of this reversal had to happen now, not last year, not months ago, but in this precise season of your growth. Hold your focus, because the revelation about timing will anchor your confidence permanently. Wakened heir, the reason this reversal could not happen last year is because you were still becoming who you are now. Timing in the kingdom is never random. It is synchronized with maturity. If the executive had approved you before the curse was fully removed, you would have stepped into opportunity carrying insecurity. You would have managed increase with a survival mindset. And survival cannot steward royalty. This season was necessary. You had to outgrow the version of yourself that sought validation. You had to confront the internal narratives that said, "Be grateful for whatever you get." You had to dismantle the quiet belief that stability was safer than expansion. The delay was not denial. It was development. Think about who you were 12 months ago. Think about how you reacted to pressure. Think about how easily doubt could influence you. Now compare that to who you are becoming. There is more clarity, more steadiness, more discernment. The growth created capacity. Archangel Michael has not only been guarding your inheritance, he has been guarding your timeline. Certain doors remain closed because they would have overwhelmed you. Not because you were incapable, but because you were incomplete. Now, you are integrated. The internal permission has been granted. The emotional loyalty to struggle hath been released. The curse has lost its authority, and your identity has stabilized. This is why the atmosphere feels charged. Behind the scenes, conversations are aligning with your readiness. The executive who dismissed you is experiencing their own shift. External pressures are forcing them to reevaluate past decisions. Metrics that once justified rejection now highlight missed opportunity. And your name is resurfacing. But here is what makes this profound. The call is not just about correcting a mistake. It is about acknowledging value. There is a difference between being tolerated and being sought after. In the past, you fought to be considered. And now you will be pursued. Royal inheritance does not beg for entry. It attracts invitation. When the phone rings, you may notice a subtle apology in their tone. Not always explicit, but implied. There will be curiosity. There will be openness. There will be a willingness to revisit terms. Do not rush that conversation. Listen carefully. Speak strategically. You are no longer trying to prove worth. You are discerning alignment. Because not every reversal must be accepted exactly as presented. This is where maturity becomes visible. The curse would have made you grab the first sign of validation out of fear that it might disappear. Inheritance allows you to evaluate from confidence. You can negotiate. You can request clarification. You can set boundaries. This is new territory for your bloodline. You are modeling what it looks like to engage power without intimidation. There is also something deeper unfolding. The timing of this shift aligns with a broader awakening in your life. You have been questioning more, refining more, praying with greater focus, studying patterns, observing cycles. This awareness prepared you for stewardship. Heaven does not release inheritance to someone asleep. He releases it to someone alert. And you are alert now. Archangel Michael's presence has stabilized the unseen warfare that once surrounded your advancement. The heaviness that used to accompany progress has lifted. You can feel the difference. Movement feels smoother. Decisions feel clearer. This is alignment meeting authorization. The executive's call will confirm externally what you already sense internally. But even before it happens, your transformation is evidence enough. You no longer carry generational shame. You no longer apologize for ambition. You no longer interpret delay as destiny. That is the true miracle. There is one more element to understand about timing. If this had happened earlier, certain relationships in your life would not have survived the pressure of your growth. Some connections needed to shift first. Some distractions needed to fall away. Some influences needed to lose access. Protection of it looks like postponement. Now, the stage is clear. The noise has reduced. The foundation is stronger. And when the call comes, it will not destabilize you. It will amplify you. This next revelation will uncover how to respond in that moment so that the inheritance multiplies instead of merely increases. Because what is being transferred to you is not meant to stop at comfort. It is meant to create legacy. Crown vessel. The moment the call comes, your response will determine whether this inheritance simply relieves pressure or multiplies into legacy. There is a sacred difference between increase and impact. Increase changes your situation. Impact changes your bloodline permanently. When the executive reaches out, there will be an opportunity hidden inside the conversation. It may sound like revised terms. It may sound like a new proposal. It may sound like reconsideration. But beneath the surface, it is access. Access is what your family line has lacked for generations. They worked hard, but doors remained closed. They had talent, but platforms remained distant. They had vision, but resources remained restricted. You are stepping into a different dimension, one where access aligns with preparation. Archangel Michael has not only fought to remove the curse, he has secured passageways that were previously blocked. But here is what you must understand. Access requires wisdom. Do not respond emotionally. Respond strategically. Listen more than you speak. Ask questions that clarify long-term potential, not just short-term relief. Think beyond approval. Think about positioning. Royal inheritance is not about finally being accepted by a system. It is about using that system to build something larger than yourself. When the executive speaks, Pay attention to tone shifts. Notice how they frame the opportunity. Observe where influence now rests in the conversation. If they sound eager, it is because momentum has shifted in your favor. But humility must anchor you. This is not the moment to remind them of their past dismissal. This is not the moment to subtly express resentment. This is the moment to demonstrate maturity that exceeds expectation. Grace under pressure is the mark of royalty. The curse would have reacted defensively. Inheritance responds decisively. Here is also something profound about the symbolism of this reversal. A financial institution once closed its doors to you. Now that same structure will open dialogue. This is heaven demonstrating that no gate can remain permanently shut when divine timing aligns with identity. However, do not make the mistake of believing this opportunity is your final destination. It is a gateway. Legacy thinking must guide you now. Consider how this shift can create stability beyond you. How can this approval fund expansion? How can this access open doors for others connected to you? How can this moment alter the narrative spoken about your family name? This is how bloodlines are transformed, not just by breaking curses, but by establishing new patterns. Archangel Michael's assignment over your life continues, because elevation introduces new terrain. With new terrain comes new responsibility. You are not being lifted to relax. You are being positioned to build. There will be people watching quietly, some inspired, some skeptical, some waiting to see if this change is temporary. Let consistency answer them. Your composure during negotiation will matter. Your clarity in planning will matter. Your discipline after approval will matter. Inheritance must be stewarded or it can dissipate. This is why internal transformation preceded external confirmation. You are not the same person who walked into that office the first time. You carry authority now. You carry awareness. You carry spiritual alignment. And before the fullness of this manifestation unfolds, you must seal your agreement again. Type in the comments, "The curse ends with me. The legacy begins with me." Blessing code 8822 is now activated for those who declare it in faith. As you type those words, understand that you are not just speaking over yourself. You are speaking over future generations. You are announcing that struggle will not be the inheritance passed down from your hands. And now hear this carefully. This message is not meant to stop with you. There are countless souls scrolling in silence, believing their family pattern is permanent. When you support this mission through super thanks, membership, or by sowing through the PayPal link in the description, you are planting seeds into soil that sets captives free. The Lord declares, "I will pour water on the thirsty land and streams on the dry ground." Let your giving become that stream. This is your moment of prophetic participation. As you release your seed, heaven releases increase over your house. Act now. Strengthen this altar and watch God multiply what you place in His hands. The shift is no longer a promise. It is unfolding reality. What comes next will reveal how to protect this inheritance from subtle sabotage and ensure that what has been transferred to you cannot be reversed. Stay attentive because protection is as important as possession. Royal heir, possession without protection can become vulnerability. Now that the transfer has begun to manifest, you must understand how to guard what has been entrusted to you. Every elevation attracts attention. Not all attention is harmful, but some of it carries old energy attempting to reconnect. The curse has been removed legally and spiritually, but patterns sometimes attempt to revisit out of familiarity. Not with authority, but with suggestion. You may notice subtle tests, and I've said it as this: a discouraging comment, a small delay that tries to provoke anxiety, These are not signs that the curse has returned. They are opportunities to respond differently than you once did. Protection begins with awareness. In the past, a financial inconvenience might have triggered panic. Now, it must trigger strategy. In the past, criticism might have shaken your confidence. Now, it must sharpen your focus. The difference in response is evidence that inheritance is active. Archangel Michael continues to stand guard, but spiritual protection does not eliminate personal responsibility. You must guard your thoughts, your associations, and your habits. Be mindful of who you share details with in this season. Not everyone needs full access to your plans. Some people are comfortable with you struggling but uncomfortable with you rising. This does not make them evil. It makes them unadjusted to your new altitude. Silence can be wisdom. You are building something that previous generations could not model for you. That means you must seek counsel carefully. Study financial discipline. Refine your long-term strategy. Think generationally, not emotionally. Inheritance must be structured. When the executives call transitions into agreement, do not celebrate prematurely. Celebrate wisely. Gratitude is essential, but impulsiveness is dangerous. Take time to review details. Ask for written confirmation. Seek clarity where needed. Royalty does not rush. There is also an internal protection you must establish. Refuse to romanticize the struggle you came from. Sometimes when people rise, they look back at hardship with nostalgia, as if pain gave them authenticity. Pain may have shaped you, but it is not your identity. You are not defined by what you survived. You are defined by what you build. The bloodline curse once created instability that felt normal. Now stability may feel unfamiliar. Do not sabotage peace because chaos feels comfortable. Allow yourself to experience consistency without expecting disruption. Archangel Michael's assignment includes guarding your peace, but you must cooperate by refusing internal drama. Another layer of protection involves gratitude without complacency. Be thankful for the reversal, but remain diligent. Increase requires maintenance. Relationships require nurturing. Opportunities require stewardship. The executive's call will open a door, but your discipline will keep it open. There may also be unexpected favor beyond what you initially requested. Do not limit the outcome to your previous imagination. Sometimes when God restores, He adds. However, remember this: addition without structure leads to overflow without direction. Create systems. Organize resources. Plan ahead. Think in decades, not weeks. You are no longer operating for survival cycles. You are operating for legacy seasons. And legacy demands protection. There is something powerful about your surname shifting from a history of struggle to a testimony of strategy. Future generations will reference this period as the turning point. They will not fully understand the spiritual warfare behind it, but they will benefit from the victory. That is the reward of obedience. The curse once made your family reactive. Inheritance makes you proactive. When small challenges appear, address them immediately. When confusion tries to enter, seek clarity quickly. When doubt whispers, counter it with truth. Protection is consistency. Archangel Michael's presence over your life is not temporary, but divine protection partners with disciplined living. Keep your focus clean. Keep your motives pure. Keep your gratitude genuine. The reversal cannot be undone unless you abandon the mindset that secured it. And what you are about to understand next is the final unveiling. how this single reversal connects to a larger assignment over your life that extends beyond finances and into influence. Because this was never only about a bank executive. It was about authority being restored to your name. Appointed one. This was never only about a financial reversal. The bank executive was simply the visible symbol of a deeper restoration. What is truly being restored is authority over your name. For too long, your surname carried silent weight. When spoken in certain rooms, it did not command attention. It did not open doors, and did not create expectation. It was associated with effort, not influence. Hard work, not leverage. But now, that association is shifting. Authority is not loud. It is recognized. When the executive calls and the conversation turns in your favor, something spiritual will echo beyond that moment. Your name will begin to travel differently. It will be mentioned in conversations you are not present for. It will be connected to reliability, to growth, to expansion. This is how legacy begins, not with noise but with repositioning. Archangel Michael has been guarding your inheritance, but he has also been guarding your reputation. There were accusations that could have stuck, misunderstandings that could have spread, delays that could have defined you. Yet somehow, nothing permanently attached. That was protection. And now, influence will begin to attach instead. Influence requires maturity. You are entering rooms where your words carry weight. Your decisions will impact more than your immediate needs. Your yes will open doors for others. Your no will set boundaries others learn from. This is not accidental promotion. It is intentional elevation. However, as influence grows, so does responsibility. The curse once kept your family in positions where their choices only affected survival. Inheritance places you in positions where your choices shape futures. Do not underestimate your voice in this season. The executive's call is one confirmation, but more confirmations are coming. Partnerships, introductions, invitations. You will notice a pattern of access forming around you. When that pattern becomes visible, remember who orchestrated it. Gratitude keeps authority grounded. There is something else that must be addressed. As your influence expands, old versions of yourself may try to resurface in moments of stress. The impulse to overwork to prove worth. The urge to say yes to everything out of fear of losing opportunity. The temptation to downplay your success to avoid standing out. Recognize those impulses quickly. They belong to a version of you that no longer leads. Royal inheritance does not hustle for validation. It operates from identity. If this message has been walking step by step with your journey, do not disengage now. Like this message so that others who are silently breaking generational patterns can encounter it. Share it with someone who feels stuck under the weight of their family history. Comment your declaration boldly so your words reinforce your authority. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a community that believes in spiritual breakthrough and practical wisdom. When you engage, you are not just interacting with content, you are strengthening a movement that restores names and rebuilds legacies. And remain attentive, because what is unfolding next ties everything together in a way you may not expect. The final layer of this revelation will show you why this transfer had to happen before 12:00 a.m. and how that timing connects to a new spiritual season over your life. Authority hath been restored to your name, but timing activated it. There is significance in crossing a threshold before midnight. Midnight represents transition and separates what was from what will be. By sealing the transfer before that hour, heaven ensured that the curse could not follow you into the next season. You crossed over clean. This means the upcoming confirmations will not be contaminated by past patterns. You are entering a cycle that does not repeat former limitations. Archangel Michael stands at that threshold like a guardian at a gate. Nothing from the old season has permission to trespass. And now, as influence increases, you must align your daily actions with your elevated identity. Speak with intention. Plan with foresight. Rest with confidence. The final unveiling will reveal how to consecrate this new season so that what has been transferred becomes permanent, generational, and unshakable. Prepare your spirit, because the completion of this message will seal everything that has begun. Consecrated one. A vision without consecration can become corruption. Now that you have crossed the threshold and the transfer has been sealed before midnight, there must be a sacred dedication of this new season. What begins in breakthrough must be secured in devotion. This is the final alignment. The curse has been lifted. The inheritance hath been activated. The call has shifted. Influence has begun to form. But permanence requires consecration. It requires you to intentionally set apart this new chapter as holy. Consecration is not isolation from the world. It is clarity within it. It means you refuse to build with the same mindset that once kept your bloodline in cycles. It means you choose integrity over impulse. It means you prioritize wisdom over applause. Archangel Michael has stood as a warrior over your generational line, but now he stands as a guardian over your covenant. Because what hath been transferred to you is not random favor. It is entrusted authority. And entrusted authority must be stewarded with reverence. There will be opportunities in this new season that look profitable but feel misaligned. There will be partnerships that seem strategic but carry subtle compromise. There will be shortcuts that promise speed but cost stability. Consecration gives you the discernment to decline what does not honor your assignment. Remember, this reversal was not only about proving someone wrong. It was about positioning you right. The executive's call symbolized validation, but validation is not your foundation. Identity is. If you begin chasing affirmation again, you risk reintroducing instability. Stay anchored. Set personal standards now while your spirit is clear. Decide how you will handle increase. Decide how you will manage visibility. Decide how you will protect your peace. When decisions are made in calm, they are stronger during pressure. You are no longer reacting to survival. You are designing legacy. Think about the future generations who will benefit from this moment. They may never fully understand the spiritual warfare that surrounded your elevation. They will not see the nights you wrestled with doubt. They will not hear the whispers that tried to convince you to shrink. But they will live in the stability you created. That is why consecration matters. It transforms a breakthrough into a foundation. Archangel Michael's presence over your life is not theatrical. It is steady. It is structured. It ensures that what heaven has authorized is not easily shaken. But your obedience reinforces that protection. Guard your routines. Guard your financial discipline. Guard your time. Guard your relationships. Success without structure collapses. Success with consecration multiplies. There is also a spiritual posture you must maintain. Gratitude without pride. Confidence without arrogance. Influence without domination. Authority without harshness. Royal inheritance carries both power and responsibility. As confirmations continue to unfold, as calls turn into contracts, as discussions turn into decisions, keep your spirit quiet. Celebrate but do not boast. Share but do not overshare. Build but do not rush. The midnight threshold you crossed was symbolic. It marred the end of inheritance struggle and the beginning of intentional dominion. Now the question is not whether the curse has been broken. It has. The question is whether you will treat this new season as sacred. Because sacred things endure. You are stepping into a rhythm your bloodline has never known. Stability without fear. Growth without guilt. Influence without intimidation. And the final seal of this message will anchor this inheritance permanently. What comes next is not another instruction. It is a declaration that will finalize the shift and release a blessing that echoes beyond this moment. Prepare your heart. The completion of this revelation will not only confirm the transfer, it will commission you as the standard bearer of a new legacy. Beloved heir of a new beginning, this is the sealing moment. Everything that has unfolded was not random motivation. It was divine orchestration. The curse that sat quietly on your bloodline hath been legally removed. The inheritance that seemed distant hath been activated. The dismissal that once humiliated you hath been transformed into a doorway of honor. And the midnight threshold you crossed was not symbolic alone, it was spiritual finalization. Now the shift must be declared complete. The bank executive who dismissed you was never the ultimate authority over your future. They were simply a checkpoint, a visible representation of a hidden resistance. When they call, and they will, it will not just be about finances. It will be a sign that systems must bow when heaven reassigns identity. But understand this clearly. The greatest transfer was not money. It was mindset. It was authority. It was the restoration of your name. Your surname will no longer be associated with quiet struggle. It will be connected to wisdom, structure, and expansion. You are the one who broke the repetition. You are the one who refused to inherit limitation. You are the one who stood in the gap when it would have been easier to shrink back. Archangel Michael has stood at the gates of your generational line like a warrior who does not sleep. Every accusation was confronted. Every lingering claim was denied. Every inherited whisper of not enough was silenced. Now, only inheritance speaks. His final moment is about permanence. Say within yourself, what God has shifted cannot be reversed. What God has transferred cannot be stolen. What God has restored cannot be diminished. Feel the weight of that truth. You are not stepping into temporary favor. You are stepping into generational transformation. The patterns that once defined your family have lost their authority. A new pattern begins with you. Discipline instead of disorder, vision instead of fear, strategy instead of survival. The call from the executive will confirm it externally, but heaven has already confirmed it eternally. Do not look back with longing. Do not revisit the old identity for comfort. Do not downplay what God has done to make others feel secure. You crossed over before midnight clean. The curse did not follow you. And now, I want you to seal this with a prophetic act. Type in the comments, my bloodline is free and my inheritance is sealed. Blessing code 1200 is now released over every person who declares this in faith. As you type it, see chains dissolving behind you and doors opening before you. See your family name rising in rooms where it was once overlooked. See stability replacing stress. See confidence replacing hesitation. This is not hype. This is spiritual alignment meeting divine timing. And as this message reaches its completion, understand something sacred. What has happened in your life is not meant to stop with you. There are thousands still carrying invisible generational burdens, waiting for light to expose and break them. When you release a super thanks, step into membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding content, you are igniting freedom in other bloodlines. The Lord says, bring the full tithe into the storehouse, and see if I will not open the windows of heaven over you. This is your moment to respond. As you give, you align yourself with the river that carries this word across nations. I am calling you to act with bold obedience. Sow into this ground now and watch God establish your house with unshakable increase. The transfer is complete. The inheritance is active. A legacy begins with you.